The Model O was a product that seriously impressed me when I reviewed it not too long ago. It offered the same lightweight honeycomb design and paracord-esque drag-free cable as last year's ultralight Phantom, but with a far more neutral size and shape, along with what I thought to be better build quality, all at almost half the price. However, since my experience with the G203, I've developed a strong preference for smaller mice, and as a result, I couldn't help but set my sights on the smaller version of the Model O that was announced as I was making my review. So now it's time to find out if I prefer this new version to the original, and who exactly it's for. As always, I'm not attempting to give a scientific or objective review here, and I am not a mouse expert or an esports professional. Instead, I'm explaining my own experience with the mouse in a way that can hopefully help others understand what it's like and if it'll be a good fit for them. I've spent about a month with this mouse, and I've put a ton of hours on it. 20 hours of Borderlands 3, 60 hours of Destiny 2, and then 12 hours of the Modern Warfare beta, in addition to my more casual rotation of stuff like Battlefield 5 and Rainbow Six Siege. So apparently this thing is called the Model O-, not Model O-, which I think would have been cooler, but anyway, as the name would imply, it's mostly identical to the original Model O in every way except for size, so I'll just go ahead and cover all the stuff that's the same briefly. If you want it in more detail, go check out the original Model O review. You get the same color and finish options, black and white, glossy or matte, and the same surprisingly good unboxing experience. The two main selling points of this mouse, the honeycomb design and lightweight cable, are identical to the original, as is the eye-catching RGB implementation. Just as with the original, I can't overstate this enough. The build quality and material choice are both extremely good, very impressive considering the $50 price point. There's no flex, creaking, rattling, or weak points. In terms of inputs, they all feel the same as they did on the Model O, so I'll just let you listen to them commentary free. I do want to note that the sidewall issue is not present here like it was on my Model O. If you're unfamiliar, some of the early batches could have their side buttons activated by firmly pressing on the left side panel. It wasn't really an issue for me at all, but they did say they would address it, and it appears that they have. With all that out of the way, we can move on to the two differences, the first one of course being size. Putting it next to the original, it's a visibly massive difference, and in hand, it's night and day. This is not a subtle difference in size. If you have smaller hands and you know it, this is clearly going to be your choice over the normal-sized one, regardless of grip style. However, if you use fingertip grip, I've found that there are benefits to using a smaller mouse like this, even if you don't have small hands. I have pretty average 18 by 9 centimeter hands, and while I found the original to work just fine with fingertip grip, this smaller version is the obvious choice for me. It is a near perfect fit. Just like with the G203, I have full control of this thing, as opposed to the larger one which acts as sort of an anchor point, and my palm rarely comes into contact with the mouse when flicking downward. After doing a ton of marathon sessions with it, my conclusion is that I have an easier time aiming with the Model O- than I do with the regular Model O. Now, I was slightly concerned that comfort would be an issue here, as the one downside for me with the G203 was the slight strain that could come from longer gameplay sessions due to its small size and egg-like shape. However, because the Model O- shares the same Zoe FK-style shape as its bigger brother, it's a far more ergonomic mouse than the G203, and as a result, there is basically no penalty, at least for me, in terms of comfort compared to the normal Model O, despite it actually feeling smaller in hand compared to the G203. In a lot of ways, I consider the Model O- to be an upgraded G203. It's about twice the price, and for your money, you're getting the lightweight design, a better cable, better materials, and a better shape. The G203 is still the value king if you ask me, but if you can afford the Model O-, I do think it's worth it. When it comes to picking between the Model O and Model O-, at the end of the day, everyone is different and has different preferences. I can't tell you what's going to work for you, it's ultimately up to you to determine that, but I can give some suggestions based on my experience. If you have a similar average hand size to mine and use fingertip grip, I would recommend the Model O- over the Model O. For palm grip users with a similar hand size to mine, the Model O is still going to be your pick, and I still maintain that the original Model O is going to be a safe choice for most people. Finally, I should mention that there is a second, far less meaningful difference between the Model O- and Model O. As a side effect of the reduced size, weight has gone down by about 10 grams. That sounds like a big difference, but in practice, it's really not that noticeable, and I would not take this into consideration at all when choosing between the two. Just pick based on size. In conclusion, I feel the same way about the Model O- as I did about the Model O. It's a great mouse, probably one of the best values on the market, and with the addition of this new size, they're accommodating basically everyone. $50 is a reasonable amount of money to spend on a gaming mouse, and with the exception of wireless, you're getting everything that you could possibly want, including the trendy, cutting-edge competitive stuff. Like I said earlier, I'm not a pro or an esports player, nor do I aspire to be one, and I don't think you need to be one to appreciate what this mouse is offering. All the features here are meant to give that extreme competitive edge, but in just normal, everyday play, they end up being really nice quality of life improvements. Having a light mouse is nice, and theoretically reduces fatigue. Having a cable that doesn't drag is better than having one that does. Now, is it the best mouse ever made? I don't know, I'm not qualified to say anything that lofty, but I really do struggle to find any flaws or negatives with either version of this mouse. The only potential issues here are quality control and reliability, which I have heard some users voice their concerns about. I can only speak to my own experience though, and my original Model O is performing just as well as it did when I took it out of the box. So if you're having any issues yourself, I encourage you to share your experience in the comments, since that's really the only way we can figure this stuff out. Setting that aside, this is the best fingertip grip mouse I've used so far, and it's probably going to become my new personal main. If a friend asked me what mouse to get and they weren't on an extreme budget, I would recommend one of the two Model O's every time, at least for the moment. If you're interested in seeing more peripheral, tech, and gaming content, consider subscribing to the channel. If you'd like to stay up to date with my future video plans, or just talk gaming and tech, the best way to do that would be to join the Discord or follow me on Twitter. Links to both in the description. Until next time, thanks for watching.